So more importantly, we've got stuff coming up on this channel. Maybe something to do with buying a car, building a car. That's a little hint for the near future. There is something coming, to be honest.
For what it will be used for, I think it's pretty obvious. But as you can see, please welcome our new 2000 plate BMW 328i. We bought this off Copart and finally it's here.
So this is our BMW 328i. It's a 2000 plate that we got from Copart. We got a pretty good deal on it. However, it's definitely not in the most perfect place at all. So to start off with, we obviously need a new quarter panel as it's completely dented in. Smashed windscreen, which we've currently covered up with tape. We've got a lot of dents and stuff like that. The wheels need replacing. The fuel cap also inside here is very hard and stiff. So there is also a little bit of rust here, but we've also got more dents and scratches here and also all around the vehicle. But before we actually get on to fixing all of those, let's go under the bonnet and actually see what's wrong or what's good over there. So Sham, just pop the bonnet. Well, I'm struggling to open this.
Meanwhile,
See if you can open this one. Or Shahim knows how to do it, but so here we have the engine. It's a 2.8 litre inline six, naturally aspirated, producing about 198 horsepower. So we have had a look underneath this engine already, and we're not sure if there's anything else to really find or any other problems that there may be, but we have found one possible major problem, which is essentially under here. If you actually come close here, what's wrong? Let me try that. I can't open shit in this. But we've got, as you can see, a bit of froth and coffee style stuff, and you all know what that means. But there's one thing that we saw which doesn't make sense, and if you to take the dipstick out, you'll see that there's pretty much nothing on there, which tells me that this could possibly be just due to the car being sat still for a very long time, that a lot of moisture or condensation has gotten into the oil, causing it to be quite frothy at the top, but it's actually fine.
At this point, some of you may be thinking it's a head gasket problem, which is what we initially thought, and a head gasket is a huge job. I don't think it's something we're necessarily prepared for, but we have done some research, and based on that dipstick, we do think it's a condensation, which is why we have got a test from eBay, which basically tests is there coolant fluid leaking into the engine. That test will determine on what we do next. Fingers crossed it's not, which is what we think, but you'll see that later on in the video.
so just before we do get on to the servicing side of things, we did actually drive this car into our garage unit here. We had to drive it from where it got dropped off to our garage here, so here's that part of the video.
Hey, that's got some kick to it. It actually had some kick to it straight away.
I don't know what the hell that was. I thought it was the rear axle falling off.
I think there's something in the boot.
It must be. The power steering fluid is
Is it? Yeah, we're gonna change that as well.
it must be low, or at least I don't know what it is actually. Steering wheel's definitely not supposed to be this stiff.
Yeah.
Throttle's stiff, brakes are stiff, clutch is stiff.
Everything just needs to be
The only thing good,
the gear stick.
the gearbox seems relatively smooth.
First time the car's at base. Yeah, so this mirror is fine, but that one,
Yeah, if I don't hold it.
it has to be held in order to be used.
Yeah.
We got a nice sunroof though. Seats is nice.
Hey, we have second gear.
Yeah, we definitely need to take this for a road test. So to start off with the servicing, the first thing that needed changing was the battery. So we started off by disassembling that. Once the clamp was undone, it was then time to undo the positive and negative terminal so that we can get the battery out. And once that was done, it was as simple as grabbing both handles and pulling out to put the new one in. With the battery done, it was then time to get on with the servicing, so the first thing we did was get the air filter changed.
Like you lost another one.
Air filter change was finished. It was then time to raise the car up in the air so that we can at least try and do the engine oil change. However, our car jack here just was not working with this car. This jack is a 2-ton jack, and I guess we needed a 3-ton jack, and it just was not stable or safe. So what we then decided to do was to just add cheap engine oil to the engine, purely because it hardly had any. It needed a bit more. It was nowhere near the line. So therefore we just topped out with cheap oil, kept it running a bit before we then did the engine oil service. Now, before you all run to the comments, the reason why we were using cheap engine oil is because we knew we were going to do a full engine flush straight away, and we weren't going to use premium fuel even though we have bought it. Our goal here is to get the engine back to at least the minimum line, get it running so that we can at least get all of the engine oil, the bad chunky oil, to the bottom of the oil sump, so that when we do get the engine oil out, we can flush some engine treatment inside it. And what that will do is it will then get all the rubbish out all together, so that when we can change the oil filter, we get a fresh oil filter in there with fresh premium oil ready to go. So we did forget to record it, but we did buy some ramps from Halfords, get the car up in the air, and we did do an engine oil service. So we got all the oil out, including the cheap oil that we put in, and then we topped it back up with cheap oil. And the reason why we did that was because for the engine treatment product that we bought, it says on the back that we need to actually keep the engine running for a little bit and use it with some oil inside it before we then flush that. And so what we did is we put cheap engine oil back into it. Then what we did is we ran the car for a little bit for a few days and then did another engine oil flush so that we can then put premium oil inside it.
She runs perfectly.
All lights are gone now as well. Just before we were going to end that day there, we were realizing that the window on the rear right would not go up anymore. It was a hot day, so that's why all the windows were down, but clearly there was something wrong with the window regulator, and therefore we had to take all the door cards off, see what the problem is, and then see what we needed to buy.
As far as I'm aware, it's just a plastic.
Yeah, we didn't put anything on the pins. Oh, someone's been here before. Sellotape. Got it?
Yeah. Goes in.
Yeah, they'd cut into it.
Do you reckon he's had a...
That's probably for the wind, why the window. After further inspection, it does seem as though someone has been in here before, hence the sellotape and ripped little plastics. But one thing we realized is that the regulator and the metal wire that actually winds the window up and down, that was getting caught on something and it was just unfixable. So what we did is we did eventually get a window regulator and bracket ordered. Once all that was done, it was then time for the most anticipated moment of this whole restoration build so far, and that was doing the gasket test. So what we do is we put this on top of the coolant housing by using the adapter. We then use this little blue dye fluid that comes with the gasket test, and we basically pop it in at the top until both sections at the bottom are full like they are in this video. We then run the car, and what we do is we essentially idle at 2000 RPM for about a minute and a half, and then we let it idle by itself for about a minute and a half. And what will happen is if there is a gasket leak, then the blue dye will turn yellow or green. If there isn't any gasket leak, it will just stay as it is. Now we did the test long enough to know that we do not have any gasket leak. As you can see, it did not turn yellow, green or anything like that, and it stayed in its blue color, which was a huge relief to us, as we can now carry on with this car, as I'm sure, and I'm pretty sure I'll speak for the rest, that we were not ready for a job like that at least. Now that is going to be the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching this video. In the next episode we'll be changing the spark plugs on this car, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Ring that bell so you get notified as soon as we upload. We'll see you on the next one. Take care and peace.